Hey guys, welcome to JC Sports. I'm Cameron.
And I'm Jackson.
Today we're gonna talk about a little bit more of baseball and hockey, but we still got a lot to talk about football wise. So let's get right to it, Jackson.
Oh
What about the
yeah,
shocker of the day?
J.J. Watt. We're lucky we record late because otherwise we would have not have seen this. J.J.
Yeah,
Watt to the Arizona Cardinals, 2 years, $31 million. What do you think?
nobody expected that. I thought he was gonna go to Pittsburgh, man.
I
I
thought Green
really
Bay.
did.
Like, who would have thunk Arizona?
I mean, look, maybe he just. I mean, think Peyton Manning considered a lot of other teams besides Denver. I mean, he probably considered Green Bay and Pittsburgh because the fit. Well, he grew up in Wisconsin, and the Pittsburgh defense is so good. But
And he wanted to join a contender, right?
right, exactly. And Arizona's not necessarily a big contender right now. They
They're
went
not a
eight
big
and eight
contender,
last
but
year.
they're a promising young team for sure.
Mhm. You got Kyler Murray there. You got a couple other decent. You got a couple. You got some veterans, and now you add him to the team. I can see him going like 10-6 this year, maybe getting the playoffs.
Yeah, their offense was really strong at times, and
Right.
their defense, J.J. Watt opposite Chandler Jones, is going to be a deadly front line there. I think they're reassembling the Houston Texans in Arizona over there. I think they should try to trade Kyler Murray for Deshaun Watson straight up.
Yeah, you know what? That would shock me because it'd just be Houston Texans, but with a different name.
It would
Type
be
of thing.
the Arizona Texans, which doesn't really make any sense, but
All right, now let's move
I
on
know
to.
I want to talk about J.J. Watt a little bit more because this is just crazy. Like
I
J.J.
mean,
Watt, like, he was the face of the Houston franchise for like ever.
yeah, I mean, he was their golden boy, but I mean, look, everybody moves on. Look, like I said something about Peyton Manning earlier. Peyton Manning was the golden boy of the Indianapolis Colts for what was it, 11 years, 12 years,
Hmm.
and then he went right over to Denver, gave them a Super Bowl and two Super Bowl appearances. So
Well, J.J. Watt doesn't really have that kind of as a defensive end. You don't have
yeah,
that.
but yeah, I know, but like I'm just yeah, obviously Peyton Manning was a lot more recognized because he was a quarterback. He is like an all-time quarterback type of thing. But like I'm saying, even though J.J. Watt is a defensive back, like I said, he was the bread and butter of the Texans for 10 years. I
He
mean,
was the face of the franchise.
yeah, that's why I'm saying like he was the bread and butter. I mean, it's gonna be tough for Houston to let go of three big guys, especially their franchise tag, basically. I mean, I just think I just think it was shocking for him to go to Arizona. I really was expecting him to go to somewhere very similar to Houston.
Yeah, right. And I think Arizona could really use that addition on their defense because their first round pick Isaiah Simmons, drafted with the eighth overall pick, I think,
Well,
last year, really hasn't been working out so far for them.
look, I mean, I bet you that Arizona is partying all day today due to the sole fact that
Oh
they were
yeah,
lucky enough to.
they are sticking it in Pittsburgh and Green Bay's faces right now.
Yeah, they were lucky enough to pick up a three-time Defensive Player of the Year. I mean,
I don't
the
think he'll be
dude.
Defensive Player of the Year again, but he
No,
definitely
I
still
know, but
has talent.
yeah. I mean, they just picked up a superstar. I mean, he may not be as good as he was 11 years ago, but he's still yeah, you can't tell me JJ Watt is bad. You never
Oh,
can, no
no
matter how
way.
bad he
And
is.
even if he was, his locker room presence would be invaluable.
Right, he could be on the bench and he could still lead him to a 97 season due to his due to his sole leadership.
Right? Like Larry Fitzgerald is probably on his way out maybe this season or next, and
Yeah.
they that veteran presence in that locker room with a young team, especially with a young coach like Cliff Kingsbury, is invaluable.
Right. I mean,
Think of
you
Ray
look at
Lewis in his last couple of years with the Ravens.
you look at Randy Moss, people like that too. I mean, you look at these veteran guys, they know how to lead a locker room. I mean, you have some veteran guys that are not so much like that. Like,
Earl Thomas.
seriously, I agree with you on that. But you know, you also had guys like what's his name? Oh, I'm having a brain fart right now. Um, what's his name? I know who I'm thinking of. But anyways, um, usually a veteran guy is able to lead the locker room. Like you said, Larry Fitzgerald. He's been there for how many years now? I mean,
Oh,
he
forever.
right. You have guys like him. Eli Manning, even though I know I'm talking about the Manning brothers tonight, but I mean Eli Manning, he wasn't great in his last 5 years. I mean, but again, he had a horrible team around him, except for Odell Beckham Jr. He had a not so great team around him. What are you supposed to do about that? But um, he was still able to rally them together a lot of the time. I mean, you have a lot of these veteran guys, and when you don't have that veteran guy, like I hate to say it, Baltimore or like a team like Cleveland doesn't have a veteran rallier right now. Like Baltimore has some guys. Cleveland's probably the youngest team in the National Football League right now.
One of the youngest.
One of the youngest, yeah. I think
But having
that
that veteran presence can really level up your team and
right,
probably your coaching too. So I think this
right.
is an all-around great signing for Arizona. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think them picking up J.J. Watt is huge. Like you said, Larry Fitzgerald is on his way out. They weren't gonna have that presence. The guy that knows the league, he's been around it for a while. He knows what he's doing.
And he
But
knows how to talk to young guys too. He knows how to
exactly,
be like a coach in the locker room.
exactly, a coach player type of thing.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I think that's gonna be huge for them. Like I said, you've got teams like Cleveland don't really have that presence. They've got guys that can lead a locker room, but they don't have guys that have been around the league 8 to 10 years plus. So I think that honestly, I don't think anybody in their right mind, even if they're a psychopath, even if they're insane, would say that the Arizona Cardinals picking up J.J. Watt was bad.
I like
That
it a little
was
bit less for JJ because he's not joining an immediate contender. He's joining a good team that he thinks can be great.
yeah, no, but I mean, I'm talking about the Arizona Cardinals here. They've got to be jumping for joy right
Oh
now.
yeah,
I
the
mean,
Arizona Cardinals. I think it's a little less good for JJ, but still a good signing.
I mean, look,
Speaking
if
of
JJ
the
if JJ thought it was right, I mean, JJ thought it was right. It's fine. I mean,
yeah,
look,
true.
I mean, like I don't want to go back to the Peyton Manning thing, but Peyton Manning was able to turn around a mediocre. And granted, I know J.J. Watt is no Peyton Manning, but he was able to turn around a mediocre Broncos team to 2 Super Bowls. I mean, maybe J.J. Watt can lead him to at least a playoff run. I mean,
Okay. Speaking
I,
of dissembled parts of the Houston Texans franchise, so the failure of the Texans has been well documented, both by our podcast and thousands of other sports writers and ESPN and whatnot. But the real
yeah.
question is, how do they move forward? If you're GM of the Houston Texans right now, if you're Nick Caserio, what do you do? How do you move forward with a rebuild with no draft capital and a quarterback who won't play for you?
Here's what you do. Unfortunately, they're not in the spot. And granted, they are in a rebuilding phase, but you
Well, they
can't do what
weren't
they
like last year. They finished what was it?
10
11
and
and 5,
6.
12 and 4. I thought it was higher than that. Well, they won the South and they won a playoff game.
Mm. No, they were 10. They were going to be 11 and 5, but they rested their starters last year. But you're not you're not the Detroit Lions. You haven't picked up a good lot. You don't have young talent. You haven't picked up more talent. You're not now possibly a contender. You're kind of like a Baltimore Orioles, where you're going to have to take a lot of young guys over the next couple of years. You're going to have to try and get drafts. You're going to have, or not drafts. You're going to have to try and get young talent from the draft, and you're going to have to build yourself up from that because unless you want to trade for a guy, unfortunately, the players they have right now, they're not going to be able to really trade for a superstar. I mean, so unless they offer them like all the draft picks type of thing, unless they do the whole 3 first-round draft picks for Russell Wilson, which would be insane, but
You just gotta slowly build it up. I mean, over
that's all you can do at
trades.
this point. Look, you trade your way through it. You get young talent in the draft. You get coachable players. You get young guys that'll stay with the organization for a while, hopefully, and give it 5 to 10 years, or not 5 to 10 years. You give it 3 to 5 years. They'll probably be a decent. Like they'll probably have a couple of 8 and 8, 9
Well,
and 7 seasons.
they've really gotta build from the ground up here because of how
Right.
badly Bill O'Brien screwed them. Like you can't just kind of move on and brush it off and be like, whatever. You don't have a first round pick for the next 2 years, just this year, because of
Right.
the Laramie Tunsil trade, because of whatever reasons. You don't have DeAndre Hopkins, and you have David Johnson, who might even get cut this year as a cap casualty. It's just a total mess up there in Houston.
But here's what you do.
I would, if my first move as Houston's GM would to be to deal Deshaun Watson, because he has openly said that he will not play for the Texans. The relationship is damaged beyond repair, and that he will sit out the season if he's not traded. He will sit out as long as he's not traded. And I would just take it, deal him now, and figure out how to go into next season, maybe with some extra draft capital, for some extra future picks or whatever, and just work from there. But don't
Look,
let Deshaun Watson hang on
right.
and try to plan like he's gonna be there. Like you got to plan without him.
Here's what you do. You've had people that have situations like this before. Teams that have these situations, not even just in.
Like what team has had such a violent collapse with who has traded away their picks for win now, but then had such a ridiculous collapse. I cannot
I'll
think
give
of
you a
one.
different situation. I'll give you a different situation. Yeah, the New York Jets had a lot of young talent. All of it's gone except for Sam Darnold. They're
Well,
the
the New
one of
York
the
Giants
worst.
are different because they're
No, not the
always
New York Giants. The
perpetually
New York
rebuilding.
Jets.
The New
The New
York
York
Jets,
Jets.
yeah, Jets, my bad. But
No, you're
they've
good.
always been perpetually rebuilding. They've always been in a stage of like kind of there was a few years where they went to the AFC Championship, but they were like they've never went all in with their draft picks and then totally collapsed. Like
Well,
that was not
no.
even a thing that happened. Like that's not why the Jets
They
are
picked up
bad.
Le'Veon Bell. They picked up a whole bunch of young talent, and the
Le'Veon Bell
coach.
was the Jet originally, and Sam Darnold was a high draft pick. He was meant to lead the Jets out of the rebuilding
You
phase, and
had a
that
lot of
obviously
young.
obviously
You
it
had a
didn't
lot.
happen.
You had a lot of young talent on that team, just like you had a lot of talent on this team. Not so much young. Gone one because of GM problems. Two, head coach problems at New York. And New York's got a different head coach now. Maybe that'll make things different. Hopefully the Jets will somehow rebuild themselves within the next couple of years. But you had a head coach problem. People were wanting to leave because of the head coach, because he didn't care, because he was putting really, really bad things out in the media. The media was making him look horrible. Over here in Houston, you lost a lot of guys because of your front office. They weren't agreeing with the front office. Now your star franchise QB that just had an MVP-like season doesn't even want to play for you anymore. You lost the guy that you were lucky enough to get because Chicago didn't want him, Kansas City or none of them didn't want Deshaun Watson. So you were lucky enough to get him into your hands, and now he wants out. So what do? You take a step back, take in what you have, and go from there. Rebuild from what you have right now. Understand, Deshaun Watson's gone. J.J. Watt's gone. You have some other guys that are gone, but those are your two biggest. The guys that were gonna make or break your franchise right there, gone. You have to understand that you don't have superstars right now. You have to take what you have and you have to build from there.
Well,
It's the only way they're going to be successful.
In New York, for example, it's a blank slate, but you have pieces to build.
Mm-hmm.
In Houston, you don't even have pieces to build. Like it just has to be a kind of a slow rebuild. Maybe
Right.
try to trade somebody like Zach Cunningham, or maybe try to deal Laramie Tunstall at a much lower value. Maybe do a left tackle needy team like the Colts. But you really have to. I would if I was the Texans. You really have no choice but to blow it all up right now. No choice.
Right. I think that in reality, it's a shit show over there right now. And like you said, all they can do is they just have to rebuild from what they have. I mean, you can't do anything really with what you have right now. You don't have really a lot to trade for right now. Like the Jets. The Jets got a decent. They want a seasoned quarterback for a couple of years. There you go. Get rid of Sam Darnold. Unfortunately, yeah, you want a guy that's seasoned. Get rid of Sam Darnold. You got some young talent over there. You want some experienced talent. You get rid of it. You want to keep it, and get an experienced quarterback. Stuff like that. They have stuff to build from. They have stuff that they can do. The Jets can at least work with what they have within the next 5 years. Unfortunately, Houston doesn't. And now the situation's even worse.
Houston does not have that luxury. Speaking of somewhat rebuilding teams, speaking of a team that has kind of come out of a rebuild, let's talk about Alex Smith and the Washington football team. Alex Smith likely parting ways with the Washington football team this offseason. He is after winning Comeback Player of the Year.
I think that the poor man he can't not run into injuries. I mean, he had a decent stint in San Francisco, ran into a bad injury, and then there you go.
Colin Kaepernick took over, and you got
Kaepernick for a couple of seasons. Goes to Kansas City, plays decent in Kansas City too. Not bad, not a superstar by any means, not a Brady by any means at the time, but he played good. I mean, he had some good seasons. He could have been their guy.
A couple times.
Right. He gets hurt. Now you got Patrick Mahomes, the best quarterback in the NFL.
You got the Washington football
Good luck,
team.
man. The Washington football team doesn't really have anybody right now except for
Taylor Heineke, really.
Yeah, I mean, Taylor Heineke's not ready to play full season, I don't think. And I think it was stupid of them to get rid of Alex Smith, but, I mean...
I would keep Alex Smith. He's a veteran presence, and even if you plan to acquire quarterbacks like a Mac Jones or a Kyle Trask, for example,
right.
he can be there and be a mentorship. Like, I don't really see why they released him. It would be a cap hit for sure, but I mean,
the poor guy, where's the guy gonna go? I mean, maybe the Jets take him for a couple of seasons. I mean the Jets. I mean that could be a possible option for him. I mean, granted, the Jets have Sam Darnold. If they're gonna trade Sam Darnold away, I don't think they're gonna take Alex Smith. But
they have the Washington football team and Alex Smith said that he's determined to continue playing. He's 36 right now. Obviously coming off that debilitating leg injury that almost cost him his walking ability. So we'll see who wants to take that. But he didn't perform well per se, but for a guy who almost lost his leg, he did his really damn good. And he did his job, and hell, even led the Washington football team to the playoffs.
Here's the one thing that you can say for Alex Smith to any team: if you're always like, why should I take you as my quarterback when you're prone to injury? Look at his last year. You can just say, excuse my language, I'm fucking committed. I mean, I was almost able.
Right.
I'm almost not able to walk again, and I went out there on the field and still played. I could have re-injured my leg, been in a wheelchair for the rest of my life. I took that chance.
Right.
But here's my favorite topic of the night. Like, here's my favorite thing for the NFL tonight. Derek Carr. I love talking underrated quarterbacks. Is he underrated? You tell me.
Derek Carr, no, he's rated pretty well. I don't think he can lead the Raiders over the hump.
Look,
I think that the Raiders would be smart to deal him this offseason. With a bunch of quarterback hungry teams that are like there, think of like a Chicago. Think of maybe even a Miami. Well, Derek Carr and Tua Tagovailoa. Who knows?
Well, look, I think Derek Carr. I love underrated quarterbacks, and you know that. Derek Carr just needs the right team, just like Matthew Stafford does. And Matthew Stafford found his team, and now Derek Carr needs to find his team. I think you're right. I think the Raiders need to move on from him. Raiders get a new quarterback. Hooray. They get a young guy. Maybe have a couple of decent seasons. Get to the playoffs. Hooray. Derek Carr gets talent around him. All of a sudden becomes a Pro Bowl quarterback. Get a team with talent around him. 49ers. 49ers got talent around him. Maybe
you talk about the Pro Bowl like it's something. Like Mitch Trubisky didn't make it.
No, I mean, look. Maybe not. Maybe he won't win an MVP, but he'll lead the team to a couple of playoffs with talent around him. I mean,
maybe do a first round exit. I don't see him at that kind of level though.
I know he doesn't have the talent as like a Lamar Jackson or a Patrick Mahomes, where when they go to the playoffs, you're scared to face them. I know that, but I just think with the right team around him, I don't say Super Bowl, but he could win some playoff games. And unfortunately, Las Vegas isn't that place for him. But I told you, get him some talent, and that boy will have probably the best season that he's ever had. Won't win MVP, but the guy will probably lead his team to like an 11-5 or a 12-4 season, and lead him to the playoffs. I mean,
maybe to the playoffs, maybe sneaking in on the playoffs on a 9-7 record. But Derek Carr. On a good team, Derek Carr is going to be. You're only as good as Derek Carr is going to be.
Right. No.
It's the same with Jimmy. It was the same. It would be like a Jimmy Garoppolo situation last year when the Niners, because he was more of a liability than anything. He was just kind of along for the ride.
I mean, look, dude. I mean, like you said, yeah, I know the Raiders are. We were talking about this earlier. The Raiders are a pass-heavy offense. I know. Doesn't matter. He had 4,100 yards passing this year. That's not bad. He can throw. He's a better quarterback.
It's just a scheme. It's not like it's not.
He's a better quarterback than Jimmy Garoppolo.
Of his talent.
He's a better quarterback than Jimmy Garoppolo any day.
Oh yeah,
he goes
sure.
to San Francisco.
but I'm
He
also
goes to
not
San
a
Francisco.
MVP
He
fan.
goes to San Francisco. He leads them to a 12-4 season, something like that. Leads them to a playoff game. Leads them to a couple of playoff games. If he gets the talent around him, I don't think he'll be a liability. I don't necessarily think he'll be a Brady. I don't think he'll be any of those guys. But I think he'll be a decent asset for a team for a couple of years. Maybe not a franchise guy, but he'll be a good asset. I think he's underrated. People give him a bad name.
Okay, all right. I don't think so. Last football topic of the night: Russell Wilson, who we thought could be possibly dealt. We thought this was kind of a fever dream earlier in the offseason, but he's released a list of teams that he would take. He's okay in Seattle right now, but if the Seahawks want to trade him, he's given them a list of 4 teams that include the Cowboys, the Saints, the Raiders, and the Bears are the only teams he would accept a trade to.
Look, the man is not going anywhere because no team is going to give him 3 first-round draft picks, and I know that's a worthy price for him. But
Seattle is going to ask an arm and a leg for him.
Oh my God, they're not giving him away without a fight.
I don't see why they would want to part ways. I mean,
they don't want to, but if they get the right price, they will, just like any team would. I mean, that's what the game is today. The game is all money. The game is all statistics. The game is business now. It's not really a game of football as much as it is a business. It's not really, like I said, not a game of football. But anyways, I don't think he's going anywhere because I don't think any team can afford 3 first-rounders.
I don't think any team can afford that. And talk about the Saints, they can't literally afford it because they are about $100 million over the cap. So
right.
I don't know how that would work.
Yeah, no, I mean, I no team's going to be able to afford it, and if they do, props to them. They just got one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. They'll probably go to a couple of playoff seasons, maybe a Super Bowl, considering the talent that Russell Wilson has. If he goes to the Saints, I think the Saints have a chance to go to the Super Bowl, but he won't. But
I think he'll stay in Seattle. I don't.
Oh yeah, he's not going anywhere. There's like a 90% chance he's not going anywhere. But if he does, we will definitely be sure to take note of that.
Oh yeah, I don't think we could miss it. All right, let's talk about Dugout Talk. Let's talk about Francisco Lindor being already talked about an extension after just being traded from the Cleveland baseball team. Is it now? Or
oh shoot! I didn't even realize they changed their name.
I think they're starting next year, but still, it's the Cleveland Indians for now.
Yeah, I mean, look, that's how good Francisco Lindor. I think Francisco Lindor, he didn't have a fantastic season, but again, it was a 60-game season. He's one of the best players in the MLB. There's no doubt by that, and I think the Mets talking an extension with him, maybe it's early, but look, is anything early at this point considering that Fernando Tatis just got a 14-year deal?
Yeah,
I mean, so I think that it was a good decision. I think I don't think they'll go because he's a little bit older.
I think it was a good
now.
trade. I don't know about an extension for him though.
No, I don't. I think an extension is good to talk about after the first year. I don't think they should talk about it
before even the first year.
No, I think they should let him play a year. Now, I want to talk about Arkansas being the first ranked college team
in the first week, right?
Division I, yeah, but in Division I college baseball, that hasn't happened in years. Congrats to them, obviously. I love college baseball. It's fun to watch. It's competitive. There's a lot more errors, so it's a lot more competitive. That was crazy to me. I was watching it the other night, and I was watching FSU, Florida State versus Penn, and I mean, I just want to watch Arkansas tonight because I want to see what's all the hype about them. I mean, look, college baseball, just like any college sport, college baseball is extremely competitive. You have a lot more teams in college baseball that are neck and neck with each other than you do in Major League Baseball. Just like in college football, you have a lot of teams that are fighting for places in the top 25 versus in the NFL, you have 4 powerhouses and then the rest of the teams are like they have their spots.
How does college baseball do a playoff for anyone who doesn't know, including myself? I actually am curious to know.
So this is how college works. So usually you have your conference tournament, right? If you win your division or something like that, I think it is, you go to the conference tournament. And usually
like in basketball, there's
so if you win, if you're like, I think it's if you're in the top 25 teams or it's like you win your conference or whatever. I think you go to the College World Series. So say you win the ACC, you're going to the College World Series either way. You win the SEC, you're going to. If you win the SEC, you probably should win the College World Series. But
How many teams are in this like playoff format?
I don't remember. It's not a whole bunch. It's not like 50 teams. I think it's in the mid 20s or 30s. It's
Oh,
not like college. It's not like college basketball where there's like 50 teams and it's not like March Madness, but there's a good amount of teams in there. There's usually the powerhouses. You'll face some smaller Division ones, and like say like Towson faces Florida State. Florida State will beat them like 28 to 10 or 28 to 12. That's just how it works. The bigger division ones destroy them. But I'm excited for the College World Series this year. It's
let's
so
talk
fun to
about
watch.
probably the biggest baseball news of the week. Spring training started yesterday.
Finally, I told you
Yesterday
about this.
in
I was so hyped for
Sarasota,
baseball to be
Florida.
for baseball to be on schedule for college and for professional. And honestly, it's fun to watch a lot of the minor league guys try and prove themselves in spring training camp and spring camp. I
Get on
mean,
the 40-man roster.
right, and I know it's a long shot for most of them. There's like maybe 10 out of a whole bunch of them that'll get on there, but I think it's like half. I don't remember, but yeah, that was it's
Good to
nice
see,
to
right? Sports
yeah.
proceeding as normal for once.
So let's talk about the best. Okay, so we already know who's the best team in the National League. That's easy. The Dodgers. But let's talk about Jackson. I mean, the best team in the American League, that's a much bigger fight. You got a lot of big teams in there that really, really could be the best team in the American League. Like the Yankees have a lot of talent, but in the past couple of years, they've proven to kind of fall. The mighty will fall in the divisional round or in the ALCS. But I think, in my opinion, I'm probably gonna go with either New York, which is kind of sad, or
I'm going to go with the underdog here, the Chicago White Sox. I love them.
the White Sox had a good year this year.
The White Sox had a great year. I love their hitting core and Lucas Giolito. Man,
Yeah, and they added Garrett Crochet, the 6'2" tall or whatever height he is, tall lefty who throws 100 miles an hour with ease. I think the White Sox, they have potential to be a biggest team in the American League in a couple of years, but right now
talent-wise, it's definitely the Yankees, but I think the White Sox will go further.
Astros lost a good amount this year, so I can't put the Astros there anymore.
I can't put the Astros there either.
So I'll probably go with the Yankees, which kind of sucks because I hate the Yankees. I'm an Orioles fan, and the Orioles suck. Don't give me bad don't give me bad rep for that. But who do you think are the contenders to be the Dodgers in the National League this year?
Padres, no question.
Are there any? We all know the Padres. Think about. I mean, look. Honestly, the Mets are going to sign some talent. I don't think the Mets have the opportunity to necessarily beat the Dodgers, but they got some potential
I'm going
to
to say St.
go.
Louis, actually. I love the addition of Nolan Arenado on that team.
I just don't know if they have the rest of the talent. They have some talent there.
I
but
like their pitching core. I like their bullpen.
I mean, yeah, I gotta go. I gotta go. Probably. I mean, it's tough. I would probably go. Washington could do it.
I don't think they have it. They have Trey Turner and Juan Soto, and that's it for hitting.
Yeah, but Juan Soto is the best hitter in the major leagues. I mean, you're no matter what, you're getting 50 home runs on your roster, 40, 50 home runs every year. So I'll take that any day. But I don't know. I think maybe the Nationals, but I think I like the Cardinals, but right now I don't think there's anybody that can even beat the Padres besides the Dodgers. So I gotta go with honestly nobody.
Nobody.
Right now, nobody.
Mm.
I just think there's nobody that's going to beat them due to the sole fact, except for the Padres, that have a chance. Due to the sole fact that there's no real other teams that have so much talent on the right side. Like everything's kind of meshing together. Like it's almost like you're opening a door with a key. Like the key's starting to unlock the door with the Padres. The key's basically already unlocked the door with the Dodgers. Once the key's unlocked with the Padres. Then we're gonna have a battle. Each NLCS is gonna be a battle, but I gotta go with the Padres, and that's it. But let's talk about
Let's talk
Toughest
about the sports
division.
going on right now. It's in the middle of its season. Well, not quite the halfway, but we're getting close. Let's talk about the NHL and the
Right.
Jackson's penalty box.
Right. Let's talk about the penalty box.
Let's talk about probably the biggest news happened earlier this week. The Montreal Canadiens firing Claude Julian after their skid. They started the season really hot, something like 7-0-3, something like that. Ridiculously hot on top of the North, ranked super high in all the power rankings and whatnot. Had great offense to start it with new additions of like Josh Anderson and Jasper Kotkaniemi. But really has hit a skid recently, and they haven't really been able to pick up a win, so they decided to axe Claude Julian. And their replacement is Dominique Ducharme, who has not been doing any better recently, losing his first start, and I think losing his second start currently. So the Canadiens have just had a dry up of goals, so they really need to get that going, and they decided to fire Claude Julien, who's been their coach for at least a few years, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, and then last night, Patrick Kane decided, hey, tonight I'm going to hit 400 goals. So congratulations to him. He's the exactly 100th player to do so in NHL history. So that's pretty cool.
That's the only thing I can compare that to is like when Drew Brees threw his 400th touchdown pass, everything. You don't see that every day.
Patrick Kane is one of the best danglers in hockey. He's one of the best dekers. He has soft hands like no one else. He is like the Ovechkin slap shot is like the Kane deke. You know?
Right. Yeah, I mean it honestly any sport, any any professional sport, you got guys in college, superstars get drafted, 1% of them become normal professional players. Less than 1% probably become superstars. And less than that become legends. And less than that become Hall of Famers. And you've got guys
like Patrick Kane who are in the probably top 100 players of all time. They're just
right.
ridiculous.
It all, in my opinion, becomes relatively just shocking because it's such a long shot in any sport to just even make it to the league. I mean, you look at these college guys for baseball. I was watching college baseball the other night, and it was like draft class of 2018. Nobody was selected above the 14th round.
Right.
I mean, and I was talking with my friend, and we were like, a lot of those guys will play no games in the major leagues, and one will play like 4.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's so hard.
They'll either like not play baseball or like lounge in the minor leagues or
It's the same thing with hockey. I mean,
people lounge in the minor leagues like the KHL and the AHL, the ECHL.
right.
Like there's so many places for them to get caught up, and to get that far and to get that far with 400 goals is ridiculous. I was watching the game the game last night, and he scored the power play goal against the Detroit Red Wings in the 7-2 victory. Let's talk about. I was watching another game the other night. Jordan Binnington, goalie of the St. Louis Blues. So here's the backstory. So the San Jose Sharks and the St. Louis Blues are in a high-scoring matchup, and Jordan Binnington gets pulled because he just allowed his I think it was 4th or 5th goal of the night, so not really a good night for him. So he gets pulled.
Right.
And as he's skating off the ice, he decides that he did not happen.
No.
But it was pretty ridiculous. Like, he got pulled, and he was like, he just chose violence. He just whacked like 3 Sharks players.
I know people don't agree with it, but the one thing I love about hockey, the one thing that I like about hockey, is the fights.
Have you ever seen a goalie fight?
No.
those are a treat, man. Those are a treat. I was hoping we'd get one. Devin Dubnyk, who's like 6'5", versus Jordan Binnington, who is not 6'5".
Right.
But that was a really interesting little tidbit I thought I'd mention. That was just really strange. So let's talk about the 3 stars of the week. Andrei Vasilevsky getting first star, going 3-0-0, only allowing 2 goals total in the entire week, and scoring 2 shutouts and like 60-something saves, which is really damn good. The
Right,
Lightning have been catching their streak recently. Like they have been doing really well. They're still behind the Panthers, I think, for control of the Central Division, but they have been doing really well. Patrick Kane scores second star, hit that 400 goals we talked about earlier. Had a total of 8 points this week, 3 goals. Obviously hit that 400 goal plateau. And Matt Zuccarello of the Minnesota Wild, third star, 8 points with 2 goals. And as we approach a trade deadline, talk about Jack Eichel of the Buffalo Sabres. Could he be dealt? He's one of the superstars of the league right now, and the Buffalo Sabres are not doing well. So
Right.
could he be dealt for some draft capital or some prospects? Maybe. There's a source that ESPN reported on that said he would, an anonymous GM said he would become a New York Ranger, and said that as a factual statement. So we'll see about that as the trade frenzy starts heating up before the trade deadline on April 12th.
All right, well, that concludes our podcast for tonight. I think it ran a little long. Sorry, guys, but we had a lot to talk about
It's not like
tonight.
anyone watches this late anyway.
Right, exactly. But you had a lot to talk about tonight. But that concludes our wrap up for the night. Thank you for watching the latest and greatest sports news from Jackson and Cameron on JC Sports.
You sound so sad saying that. God damn. Thank you guys so much for watching. We will talk to you next Monday.